Welcome back to Creating Stuff with Jim. I'm Jim, and it's time to create something. In this episode, we're actually going to start a small series where I'm going to be putting a concrete slab underneath my carport. So by no means, I'm not a professional concrete worker nor anything like that. So this video is not exactly going to be a how-to, but it is more or less going to be entertainment. So I'm not a professional in any means of anything that I'm doing here. But for what it is, to me, it's a little hard to spend the money to pay a professional to do this, because this is just a concrete slab underneath my carport, which I store my tractor and a few other things under it. So once again, I don't have a single problem messing around doing this myself. I'm not worried about if the quality comes out absolutely perfect, but I'm more than willing to try. So now I would recommend, if you want something that looks pretty, I would not advise you try and do it yourself the first time when it comes to concrete work. Like I said, they're professionals for a reason. But for what this is, I don't need the highest quality, and I'm perfectly happy with the whatever results that I get. So, but let's go ahead and take a quick look at what I got to do. This is my carport. It's about 18 feet wide, 20 feet long. I've bought it just about 20 years ago. It's worked well, but it's had a dirt floor, and I think it's just time to upgrade it. There's no need to have a dirt floor. So more or less what I'm going to have to do for this project is everything inside I'm going to have to move out. My tractor, I use that on a regular basis. That's not a big deal. But this blue body over here, this is for a Toyota Land Cruiser project of mine, which you have not seen on the channel yet. You might see eventually. It's kind of, since I started building Inferno, it's kind of taken a back seat. But the name of that cruiser is, I named the cruise Bella, for Bella the Born Again Cruiser. And also, I've known of this cruiser since I was 18 years old. I bought it from a very good friend of mine. So, but like I said, that's a project for another time. So that has to get moved, and then I got the hardtop for it back there that needs to get moved. I got a few other miscellaneous junk. So after I move all this stuff out, then I need to cut the anchors loose, and then I need to pick this carport up, and I need to move it over there. So then once I move it out of the way, then I can grade this entire area. I'm going to make sure that it has a nice slope coming away from the house. Then I got to get a load of rock. I'm going to put a nice rock subgrade underneath the pad. And then also what I'm going to do in the process of while I'm putting the rock down is I have to get rid of some of this vegetation, but I'm going to put rock all the way out here to the edge of the house. So on this side of the carport I'm actually going to have a piece of a rocked in area where I'm going to keep all the attachments for my tractor. So I generally don't use this side of the house very much, so it's a good spot to put all that stuff. So, but this is what I got to work. And then after I put the rock down, then I'll form it up and pour the concrete, and then move the carport back and anchor it down to the new slab. So that's what we got going on. And like I said, just the quality, I'm not worried about the concrete being perfect. That's why I'm perfectly happy with doing it myself. And also then another note, anybody trying something like this, I'm very fortunate in the jurisdiction that I live in. Concrete flat work, this particular concrete flat work, I don't need a permit for. I can just do it. There's no permit needed to put a carport up. So I'm good. But check with your local municipality, wherever you live at, just to make sure that you don't need a permit. Don't get caught with your pants down. So, but all right, we'll tell you what, I got to take some measurements, take some notes, and then I got to start moving this stuff out, and we're going to kick this off. wasn't too bad. I got all the parts moved out, and I have an empty carport. So now, really what I need to do is I got to pull all of these anchors out, and carport should be ready to move. So I'll tell you what, but I'm going to take you over, show you where I stashed the Land Cruiser and all the other parts. Let's go check it out. Well, here I'm over next to my workshop, and this is where I got the Land Cruiser stashed. It's stashed right over here next to my shop behind my enclosed trailer. And the big reason I was going to show you this is that this slab of concrete was my very first experience putting a concrete slab down. So that I put this down about a year ago. It is by no means professional, but for what I need it for, meaning all I'm doing is parking trucks and trailers on it, and keeps me out of the mud, and keeps me out of the water, it works great. So, and like I said, I saved a ton of money by doing it myself. So, anyways, well, let's get back to work. Well, the first step in moving the carport is I got to remove the anchors. And these anchors are nothing special. They're not even threaded. All this is a piece of rebar with a nut welded onto the end. So how we're going to get it out is I'm going to spin it with an impact wrench while I give it a little up force. All right, there we go. Bunch more to go. I've got to tell you, that was nerve-wracking. That carport was 20 years old. It'd been sitting in that spot for 20 years. I was so afraid that thing was going to fall apart, collapse. There's any number of bad things that can happen I was expecting to happen, and luckily went off without a hitch. So I'm very happy about that. When I go to move it back, I'm actually going to get some new 4x4s that are long enough. I'm going to do the lift a little bit better now that I learned, I mean, it will work and how I can do it a little bit better. I'm going to get that when I go to move it back. I'm going to do that a little different. But first and foremost, it's moved. So it's done. That's great. Let's see what we got to work with. As you can tell, that carport has been sitting there for 20 years. So I got a lot of vegetation that has taken root. So my next step, before I can really get into the grading and cleaning up this organic material, is before I bought the house, somebody did a water line repair, which ain't the best. It works. It's one of those things. It works, but that's not the best. So that's what I'm going to end up doing to fix that. Is I'm actually going to dig out. I'm going to dig out below the footer. I'm going to get a bit for my hammer drill so I can drill a hole in the concrete floor inside the garage, and then dig underneath the footer and snake the pipe down through the floor and out through there instead of doing this. So unfortunately, like this, the nice thing is that's PEX tubing. So I mean, I've had plumbers say they've had that stuff when it's frozen, it swells up as big as a football. It never ruptures. So the worst thing is on the coldest of cold days, if I don't wrap it up, it would freeze up and I don't have any water. So, but I'm gonna fix that for sure. So that's my first order of business, is to fix that and rerun that. So unfortunately, I don't have any 3/4 inch PEX, but I got to go to the hardware store and get some. But that's the first order of business. And then second order of business is I got to get all the vegetation out. So some of that's taken root pretty well. I'm going to try and, the heavy roots I'm going to try and dig out with my backhoe. If it's not that power, if I can't do it, I have a stump grinder, which I'm going to grind some stumps this week anyways. So if I can't dig them out with the backhoe, I'll get the stump grinder on. So I got the cinder blocks I put down to level the carport 20 years ago. Got to dig those out. And like I said, I'm going to be putting my stump grinder on anyways. And also got over here, I got a piece of a stump I missed when I ground that stump a couple of months ago. Because before I started any of this, I actually had 3 trees in this. 3 trees in this general area. That's why it's not very level. Because I used to have trees, I ground the stumps out, and but that's part of the whole thing of regrading this entire area. So, but enough yakking. It's time. Let me run to the hardware store, get some parts, so we can get to work. All right, now that we have a nice big hole outside, now we got to punch a hole through this concrete floor. I'm going to do that with my hammer drill. Alright, well apparently I had a little void under the concrete. I hit a footer or something under there which I couldn't get through. So I had to drill a second hole. This one got down into fresh dirt. So now that I have that rebar, so I have something to find, I gotta do a lot of manual digging, and I'm not gonna bore you guys with that. So when I got something to show you, I'll bring you back. All right, I have saved you the agony of watching what I had to go through for the last couple hours. So, because I ended up having to re-drill the hole inside the shop again. Well, first and foremost, I made it through. The clay was pretty tight, so it was a little hard to dig. And so what I ended up having to do is I re-drilled the hole inside, but I did it at a 45-degree angle. And then after I did with the 45-degree angle, I connected that pipe to the water source, or to a water source, and flushed it through and used the running water to bore the hole to get the pipe through, and it worked. So now I just got to go from there to there, backfill a hole, and I'm done. So, well, let's make this splice and let's get this finished up for the day. I wish the project would be done, but you know, every little bit helps. Alright, I got it. Now I just have to pressure test it, then I can backfill this hole and be done with this part. Well, this concludes this episode of the Concrete Slab project. So if you want to see how it turns out, you're going to have to tune in to future videos. But if you enjoyed this video and you're not subscribed, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, if you enjoyed the video, please share it with your friends. So see you next time.